Well, good morning, everyone. Um, Welcome to our Higashi Honganji Buddhist Temple service for May 31st. So I am Reverend Peter Hata, and I'll be officiating today's service. Well, good morning, everyone. Let me turn off my Facebook audio here. Sorry. Welcome to our. Okay. So I see some of you are here: Leslie, Cindy, Diane, Trish, and everyone else. I'm glad you could join us this morning. I know we're all affected by the heartbreaking destruction, caused by the vandalism and looting and so forth in the aftermath of the protests yesterday. And the protests were initially against the tragic death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, and I think the massive destruction and anger are symptomatic of actually some very deep causes and conditions in America, of course, going back more than just this year. But regarding these events, I think it's an understatement, to say that this has, been a difficult experience to go through. And I'm going to try to address this a little bit later in my talk. But for now, I just wanted to say that all of these events, including the ongoing pandemic that we're struggling through, are in their own way, each in their own way. They're part of the reality that we all share and that we're all a part of, and this is what makes it so difficult. I think that we're all part of this reality. But anyway, let's go on with the service. And if you need any of the materials for the ritual portion of the service, of course, they're on the Facebook page, on a link right below this live stream. I think you'll find a link to the Shoshinge and the Tisarana, three treasures, and also the Ondoksan 2 that we'll sing at the end. So we'll begin with the Vandana Tisarana. Let me light the candle here, sorry. No, So we'll begin with the Vandana Tisarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa buddham saranam gacchami dhammam saranam gacchami Sangam saranam gacchami. Difficult is it to receive life in human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not receive awakening in the present life, then in what life can we hope to receive it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together as one, begin on the great path of enlightenment, holding in our hearts the supreme aspiration. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together as one, enter the storehouse of the Dharma and attain true wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together as one, uniting in harmony, strive to live for the enlightenment of all beings. The incomparable, deep, and profound Dharma is difficult to encounter, even through countless ages of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us endeavor to thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Buddha Dharma. Namo Buddhas. Namo Buddhas. Please be seated. Now we will chant the Shoshinge. It's on page 20 of your red service book, or on the downloaded materials if you have them. Kimyo muryo junyorai Namu fukashi ko hozo bosai ni jizai se jizai obusho token shobu jodoin kokudo ninden shizen maku konru mujo shusho gan shohoke udai guze Goko shi shi shoju jusei myosho monjippo fuho muryo muhen ko muge mutai koen no shoujo kangi chie ko fudan nanshi mushoko chonichi gakko shojin sei issai gunjo mukosho Hongan myogo shoujogo shishin shingyo ganin joto gakusho daine han hishi mendo gan shouju nyorai shoi koshu sei yuisei mida hongan kai gochoku akuji guncho kai yoshin nyorai nyo jingon Noho ichinen ki aishin fudan bon no tokune han bonsho gyakuho sae nyu nyoshu shi nyu kai chimi sesshu shinko joshogo ino suiha mumyo an tonnai shinzo shiun mu jofu shinji shinjin ten Hinyo nikko unmu shige myomu an gyakushin kenkyo daikyo ki soku o chose go akushu issai zen maku bonbu nin monshin yorai guze gan butengon kodai shoge sha zenin myo fundari ke midabu hongan nenbu jaken kyoman akushujo shingyo juji jinni nan nanchu shinan mukashi Indo saiten shironge chuka jichi iki shikoso kendai shoko seisho i myo nyorai onze oki shaka nyorai ryoga sen ishu gomyo nanten jiku ruju daiji shutto se shuten no zai ha umuken senze daijo mujo ho shokan giji shoan raku kenji nangyo roku roku shingyo igyo shido raku okunen midabu hongan jinen sokuji nyunjo yui no josho nyorai go Hoho daihi guzeon tenjin bosazoron se kimyo muge konyorai eshu tara kenshinji kosen ocho daisegan koyu hongan rikie ko ido gunjo shoishin 非ぬく読大崩壊、筆学入大へ収集、特使連下造世界、即昇信用保証信、有本農林現人図、入所自音自用下、本自丼乱露天地、上皇乱消防さらい、三蔵粒子十条教、盆書宣教気楽法、天神菩薩論中下、報道因果見世願、王言栄光有他力、少女死因唯心人、枠前本部新人法、承知生じ即涅槃、必死無料光明道、小雨修上回復系、同社結晶道南省、唯名浄土活入、万全自力変言中、円満特語感染症、三風三神慶音言、相馬法明道品、一生増悪地偶税、思案妖怪、称名化。全道独名、仏性意、公愛上三陽逆悪、公明明語見人年、海ぬ本願大智慧、行者小樹金剛心、狂気一年相互、用意大と逆三人、即小保証四条楽、現鎮公開一大教、返帰安女間一切、先祖終身反戦人、法家二度小弁る、極重悪人唯勝負、雅薬剤費摂取中、煩悩証言水風権、大非無権上昇が、本次元空明仏教、連民全幕本部人、新宗教書後編中、戦弱本願空悪性、現来生自臨伝下、結地義上異生死、即入着上無意楽、筆致新人異能入、愚教大事修士と、上際無変極俗悪、同族自主愚道心、唯化心死、放送せ。ナムアミダブナムアミダアブナムアミダアブナムアミダブナムアミダアブナムアミダブナムアミミダ上部のこの方は今に実行を経たまえり方針の降臨極もなく背の猛妙を照らすなり知恵の光明計りなし無量の所相ことごとく 故郷かむらぬ者はなし、信じ妙に奇妙せよ。下駄残りんきわもなし、高速かむる者は皆、有無を離ると述べたも、平等格に奇妙せよ。幸運無限予告、一切の右下に触りなし、光沢かむらぬ者ぞなき、難思議を奇妙せよ。少女巧妙並びなし、愚思考のゆえなれば、一切の語獣残りぬ、筆教へお奇妙せよ。仏教商用最大一、公園の仏と名付けたり、三途の国安開くなり、大用具を奇妙せよ。願に宿毒、平等正祭、同法大神、往生安楽。I hope you were able to chant with us there with the Vandana Tisarana and Shoshinge. Probably a subject for a different talk, but the Vandana Tisarana is in Pali, the ancient language that's associated with Shakyamuni Buddha, and the Shoshinge is in basically it's Japanese pronunciation of ancient Chinese characters. So they're not particularly understandable to us English-speaking people, but in study classes and places like that, we have studied them, and they're actually quite meaningful, I think, particularly in this contemporary environment that we're in, but maybe that's for another talk. But I wanted to begin by first saying that, I definitely support, the peaceful protests of the injustices that were committed against, that have been committed against black people. Which the killing of George Floyd has once again, brought to our attention, to our national attention. But I'm, also very disheartened by the violence and the looting that we've seen. It's really, really kind of sad and unfortunate. I understand the issues of race and inequality that are fueling people's anger. But unfortunately, the violence and the vandalism tend to make us, forget the original reason for the protest. I guess one other thing is that it's true that, violence of one kind or another often initiates the kind of individual and societal introspection that can actually lead to positive change. So maybe that's the glimmer of hope within this, within all the destruction. Historically, if you look at all the movements, political movements and so forth of the past, there have generally been, there's generally been the incidents of violence. But I just wanted to say that, as far as the act of protesting itself, the act of protesting against social injustice is concerned, there's nothing in the Buddha's teachings that discourage protest. The Buddha himself protested against and then worked to stop a war that was about to erupt between his kingdom and a neighboring kingdom. And then, Shimran Shonin protested against his being unjustly exiled. And so a Buddhist can be passionately and actively engaged in their community. However, in my understanding, a Buddhist should try to act out of the Buddha's transcendent wisdom and bring people together. I think you would agree that bringing people together is actually much harder than separating them. And according to the Buddha's teaching, it is, in fact, our unawakened thinking of ourselves as separate, independent selves that's the root cause of the suffering that we cause ourselves and others around us. And unfortunately today, separating people is so easy. But today I had planned to give a talk. I plan to still give it, but maybe a shortened version of it. I wanted to once again discuss the Buddha's teaching of impermanence, but this time from my own experience of, I guess we could say, my being a minister that's involved in employing technology, such as this live stream, to actively share the Buddhist teachings. And I think this is an area that's very close to home for me. One thing is that, in our modern 21st century world, there aren't too many things that change more rapidly than technology, right? But I also think that more than ever, we who are Buddhists need to explore new ways of sharing the precious and much needed Buddha Dharma today. Well, I think to begin, I think we're all, more or less familiar with this core teaching of impermanence. This is the reality that everything is constantly changing, everything is constantly flowing, everything is constantly moving, nothing stays the same. This is the ultimate reality, we could say the ultimate reality or Dharma that the Buddha himself awakened to 2,500 years ago. But for us as unawakened human beings, this teaching may not have been truly internalized by us, even though we've heard it many times. But we say in Buddhism, through our encounters with impermanence itself, through our experience of life's difficulties, we start to really internalize and hear the teaching. But as the recent the violent protests and so forth demonstrate, the Buddhist teachings don't make our difficulties vanish. But I think they can give us a kind of healthier perspective. And so as a matter of fact, I was very encouraged by a comment that one of our Wednesday night study class participants recently said, which was, quote, "These events have been quite disruptive to everyone. But in the midst of all this, I'm glad I have the Buddhist philosophies to frame these events in a healthier way," end quote. So I think this, this healthier way, this means that because the Dharma ultimately represents the reality of the way things really are, So if we take this Dharma to heart, we're able to go forward with a kind of inner confidence and calmness and assurance. And I think this is true no matter what happens. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but I think there's a sense of support and sustaining that the Dharma gives us, regardless of what happens. And then actually, because of the unpredictability of our lives, we never know, when our causes and conditions will make us, ready to hear the Dharma. But when we do begin to internalize the Dharma can, as we say in Buddhism, suddenly come alive for us. And so this is my way of segueing into kind of the heart of what I wanted to talk about. this idea of the Dharma coming alive for us actually makes me think about the website that I managed for over 15 years at West Covina Buddhist Temple before I came to the Betsuin, and which was in fact, the Living Dharma website. And the name, as some of you know, so you know this for sure if you're a West Covina person, but the name was actually the idea of Rimbanito, when he was a minister at West Covina. Back in, I think I have these dates correct, but back in 1991, the Living Dharma, the idea of the Living Dharma began as a column of monthly essays that were published in the newsletter by our lay members who were sharing stories about how the Dharma had, in fact, come alive for them. These were like well-written and, very often moving stories about the experience of losing a loved one, of dealing with their personal health issues, and of finding comfort in the Sangha. It was very successful. Then in 1997, during the time when Reverend Motohiro Kyoto was the minister, the newsletter staff of that, I should mention, the newsletter staff at that time was Kyoto Sensei, Hisako Koga, Laura Miyake, and myself. We decided it was time for the temple to start its own website. And then after a lot of brainstorming, I guess you could say, we decided to call it the Living Dharma website. Let me show you a screenshot of it here. So this is the website as it looked when I was at the temple. It looks differently now, but this is when I was at the temple. But what was especially memorable to me about the starting of this website was the resistance to starting it, actually. I had been asked by Kyoto Sensei to bring up the question of the cost of launching a website at the board meeting, and then to request the temple fund the purchase of the new computer that we would need for the website. And so this turned out to be a rather contentious meeting, to say the least. One of the board members actually questioned why we needed a website for quote-unquote people out there. And the request for funding was not approved. So, but eventually what happened was that the staff received a very generous donation of over $2,000 towards buying the new computer that we needed. And then because of the issues at the board meeting, the member that made the donation requested that the donation be anonymous, which is very significant. And then also Reverend Kyoto himself asked his home temple in Kyoto to make a donation for the website. So we did get the website started. But I think this resistance demonstrates the problem that we often have dealing with change, or dealing with impermanence. Actually, you all know that at temple we usually discuss impermanence, during funerals, of course, and memorial services. But actually, a temple itself is an institution, but it's an institution that exists within the larger context of a society that's itself constantly changing. It's something that we often forget or lose sight of, right? Then in the 1990s, it was becoming very clear to us, on the newsletter staff, how useful the rapidly expanding, World Wide Web could be for a religious organization such as our temple that was interested in raising its profile beyond its, physical space, right? And those of you that know West Covina know that this is particularly an issue at West Covina because it was and still is housed within a Japanese community center, and the temple itself has no signage of its own on the street. So all the more reason why something like a website is necessary. And the website brought new people to the temple. As a matter of fact, one of the most notable was a Mr. Fred Brennan, who in 2002, I believe it was, he had been looking for a Buddhist temple where the language was English. He hadn't been able to find one, an English-speaking temple in the East San Gabriel Valley, let alone further east in the San Bernardino area where he lived. until that is he found the Living Dharma website and showed up one Sunday, and as I mentioned in my introduction of him last Sunday, he was our speaker last Sunday. I said that Fred is now Reverend Fred, so that's a wonderful success story. And then another kind of experience of difficulty that I had with new technology happened when I had to initiate the temple's Facebook page. So this was in 2012, after I'd become the minister there, and I happened to be leading a study class, and at one of the classes, one of the participants, this participant was, it should be a surprise, this participant was considerably younger than I was, and was really into Facebook. And this participant said, "Hey, why doesn't the temple start a Facebook page?" And so actually in this case, I have to admit that it was mostly me that was the resistant one, because I was not particularly into Facebook at the time. But this study class participant was very insistent, and I remember he basically would ask me at each and every class, "Well, have you started the Facebook page yet?" But also, he made some good points that, for instance, that social media sites like Facebook, tend to reach a different demographic, maybe a younger one, than, say, a website might. And so, I did start the temple's Facebook page. But then, later, maybe not in that particular meeting of the class, but in a class that followed shortly, we were discussing this new Facebook page, and then out of the blue, one of the other participants said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I have no use for the internet." What? So yeah, this initiated a very heated discussion, or maybe argument is a better word. And yes, the person who said that they have no use for the internet was one of our older members. I want to say, though, that this member has a very kind of warm place in my heart. Here he is. This is the older gentleman playing the tenor saxophone there. So we actually played gigs together at West Korean Buddhist Temple as a jazz trio, and I'm playing guitar, and Taiji Miyagawa is playing the bass there, and Bob Stack, bless his heart, is there playing the saxophone. And he was a very he's since passed away. He was definitely a kind of an ornery guy, and he was never quick to agree with anything that I said. But I do have very fond memories of Bob, and I do miss him. So a more recent memory I have about West Covina's website is that in 2013, I think it was, I presented a 4-week Introduction to Buddhism lecture series, which was this lecture series, the Introduction to Buddhism lecture series, was the first for West Covina Buddhist Temple, and it was promoted on the Living Dharma website. And then some of the younger people who saw the website and attended were Anna and George, and this is a shot of one of the classes. And Anna, as many of you know, is currently one of the Betsuin's Dharma seeds, and George is a new member of our board of directors. And then also kind of tying this into Higashi-Onganji Buddhist Temple, to the Betsuin. Now that Anna is a member of the Betsuin, here she is leading what we called the Introducing Our Temple and Teachings discussion that happened in February of this year. So clearly, this shows the potential of the internet to not only bring new people to the temple, but to potentially build Sangha, and also, in addition, I think it shows the potential of the internet to be a positive force that is helping to share the Buddhist wisdom. Well, so fast forward to the Betsuin, to the Higashi-Onganji Betsuin. I think the most recent challenge that the changing technology has presented to me, is not surprisingly, it's a very contemporary one, because it concerns the current coronavirus pandemic, and and that the closure of the temple in mid-March, resulted in my suddenly having to learn, and I mean suddenly, having to learn how to live stream services on the internet. In this case, though, the struggle wasn't between me and a few board members, or between me and a study class participant. It was really between me and the challenge of learning how to do live streaming. What was it? And how do you do it? I received some guidance along the way, as I mentioned in an earlier talk, from Lindsay, one of our junior YBA teens, much younger than me, and also from Mr. Shin Ito. I'd like to thank Shin also for his guidance, and then mostly from lots, and I do mean lots, of YouTube videos. So thank you to the internet itself for showing me how to live stream on the internet. But in my first few tries at live streaming, I wasn't sure if I'd followed instructions and if I was even actually online. So I'd ask, and by the way, I did not say it this morning. I think you would agree. I did not say it this morning, but I used to say, can you see me and can you hear me okay, right? And then later I watched a few how-to videos, by really experienced live streamers, and what was the first thing they said? Whatever you do, do not ask, can you see me and hear me okay? Oh well. But I think a very important point I want to make here is that 25 years ago, when I first started the Living Dharma website, I was one of the younger members who faced resistance from the older members, right? But now I'm one of the older members, and I'm finding it increasingly difficult to keep up with this technology. So I sincerely welcome the help of all of you younger members out there who not only grew up with this technology and therefore for whom it's second nature, but all of you who are interested in helping to share the Buddhist wisdom. Please contact me anytime. And yes, I do have email, so you can contact me. Well, in conclusion, I just wanted to add that although adjusting to this new live streaming technology has been very challenging. As a matter of fact, this morning I had a computer crash and I had some other issues, but at the same time, and maybe especially because of the difficult time that we're experiencing together, all of this has really helped me to appreciate that we actually do in fact have a Sangha that we can live stream to. And in fact, one of the cornerstones of our Shin Buddhist teaching is the idea that the Dharma is like we say, a power beyond our self-power. You might know it as the Japanese word tariki, one of the cornerstones of Shinran Shonin's teaching. But in my opinion, besides this power being represented by impermanence, right, the constant change, by the difficulties of our lives, I think there's a sense that the Sangha is also like a power beyond me. It's a power beyond me that motivates me to do what I can do, whatever it is I need to do, in order to share the Dharma as best as I can. And so I'd like to end my talk today with a quote from Reverend Haya Akagarasu. Akagarasu Sensei is the teacher of Reverend Ken Kawata, now Bishop Kawata, who was my teacher, and Reverend Kawata's teacher was Gyoko Saito, Reverend Saito, and Reverend Saito's teacher was Reverend Akagarasu. So I since feel a lineage with Haya Akagarasu Sensei. This is a quote from him. Throughout the year, I travel all over Japan. Wherever I go to travel, someone is always waiting there to meet me at my destination. The other day, someone asked me, "Why do you go all over the place like you do?" Others ask me, "Do you do it to propagate religion?" Or they ask, "Do you do it to make money?" But if I wanted to propagate religion, there are many other methods of propagation. I don't do it for propagation. I also don't do it for money. When I think about it, I go to various places all over Japan because someone is waiting for me there. When I think of my schedule and itinerary, the thought and face of the person who is waiting for me comes to my heart and mind. In that sense, I go because I see the face of the person waiting for me. The person who is waiting is what makes me go. That is what is fascinating. I go because of the power of the person waiting for me. So thank you very much for joining us today, and please join me in Gaisho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Before we conclude with Ondok-san, too, I don't have any particular new announcements, but I do know that we have a board meeting tomorrow night, so we are, discussing the path forward to reopening, and I think what's happening now is because there have been guidelines, that have been published by the governor and so forth. We have a much more concrete idea of what specifically we have to do at the temple to reopen the temple. So we're heading in that direction, and I think we should have probably be able to say a concrete date in the not too distant future. Let's see. So please join me for Ondok-san. I'm not going to sing. I'll be singing here, but so I encourage you to sing wherever you are. Actually, I guess we should stand.